Good afternoon, code fans. Welcome to another installment of Sentinels Workshop Dev Stream, featuring your host, John, aka Migrant P, from Handelabra. Gotta get in my frame here. I guess I'm in the frame. Where am I? We are programming mod support for Sentinels of the Multiverse, leading up to Steam Workshop and so on. And yeah, we are getting into it with custom decisions today, which we talked about last week. Chatted about that with the team, and it seems like a good approach, so we're getting into it. We also have some documentation generation happening and code documentation in progress from Jean-Marc, so that's cool. Welcome, Jeff McCuff. Meow to you as well. So last time we talked about having a custom decision selection type and being able to provide this text. And so I've gotten a little bit into that, so we'll see where that is. And we also talked a bit about code documentation, and I've been doing that. Well, I've been I got Doxygen set up, so Doxygen is a great documentation generator. I looked at a few different ones, but this one I actually used to use. And it works really quick, and it's really easy to set up, and it makes pretty reasonable output. So this is the new class I just made, and I even documented it. So this documentation is going to be something that we will be making available once it's got more more populated stuff. And the most important stuff is like your card controller helpers and game controller helpers, the things that you're going to want to know, like what do these methods do, right? All these things that you're supposed to use for programming cards. How do they work? What are they for? What does play the top card of each deck in turn or do? Well, you can probably guess, but like exactly what do all these parameters mean, right? And so on. So as you can see, there's a lot that doesn't have that structured documentation, but we're going to be working on that and focusing on the most important things first and getting them documented. And not sure exactly when we'll release that, but incrementally that will be available with every update to the mods branch, because that's all included. Like there's this output, but it's also included in the build that you can access through Visual Studio. So we'll see when we want to actually publish this in this form, but it's going to be at least published in the game with every update as we go along. Another can of coffee for me for Pick Me Up. It's my last can of coffee. I can always make, hot coffee, but... All right, so let's go back to... is infected. To this. So what I've done so far is I made this class custom decision text, made the selection type custom, and so on card controller you can override get custom decision text and return that, and it will be called by the UI here in that decision presentation we showed last time, and then it gets used. Basically, if you provide anything in that object, it will replace whatever the UI was going to show. If you leave it null, then it will just do what it was going to do. So that's... that should basically work now, and then we'll get into there's going to be how do you do more complicated stuff, and we'll look at that, and how can we part of it was there was the format strings and stuff, so can we leverage that as well? But we at least will have the basic idea at first. So let's go and what do I want to do? I think I want to this mod that I've made in here, I could load that in to the UI pretty easily. So I kind of want to have this to be in my sample workshop though, right? So let's go to make a new instance. I haven't updated the sample for a while, so we probably should do that. Let's make a new instance and go to my mod. And right, I think I need to make a debug build here so I can see this. I'm not sure exactly where my references are set up here. It's been a while. We'll make sure we got a debug build as well. And so here, let's go to our like migrant coder and what do our cards do? The card that does nothing. Let's make the punching bag card do more things. So maybe if he wants, he deals himself 1 melee damage. So normally this would be like pretty straightforward, right? So we would just say that the damage is optional, but actually this, yeah, you can pass is optional to this. And that will just do it. But suppose if it was like maybe we'll do something may deal himself 1 may dead. If damage is dealt this way, I don't know. What does he do? Think happy thoughts. Doesn't really matter. So if I just use optional true, it would just say, would you like to deal damage? And that will be it, right? So we can actually try this. And do I have that override? Just to... No, I think I have the wrong... This is probably referencing... the one from Steam? Yeah, but I want the one that I've made. Is that gonna work? Refresh. Oh, it like didn't work. It didn't take. You gonna take? It's not letting me do it. I guess actually I think I have the wrong. What if I do a build in the debug config? So debug Mac. I just want to use this. I'm gonna take. It's not letting me change this. Can I browse? Engine, bin, debug. And not that. Will you allow it? No, it's like... Okay, but now... Yay! Okay, so that's happening. So right now, I just want to like get this going. That's my mod. I'm just gonna, I guess the cauldron can still be loaded. That's fine. We want migrant coder. We want to stack. We want to put in hand, actually. Punching bag. We want to go to migrant coder's turn. Okay. Let's see if that works. File not found. Oh, sure. We don't need the cauldron like for this. Oh, audio. All right, here's my punching bag. It has my new text. So I think I set it for optional, right? So it's just going to be like, this is like very helpful, right? But it doesn't talk about my happy thoughts. And that's what I really want, right? I want that to talk about the happy thoughts. And so for some things, you're going to be able to pass in the selection type. For some, you're not. So deal damage helper is not going to be able to do that. So we need to make our yes-no decision first. So I think we have to call game controller. Make yes-no card decision. Decision maker, selection type, custom. Is there another? Make yes, no. I guess I can always like make a new make decision action. What does this do? Well, let's go. This just like actually ask one hero to do that. Oh, this is private. Feels like that shouldn't be private. Oh, I guess that takes the actual decision. That's fine. This dot card. Let's just like do the thing. Did player answer yes? All right, and we have to pass back. I don't want an array list. I don't know why it has to be yes, no card decision. Anyway, that doesn't super matter. If we need to add more, this is more demonstrating and making sure this whole thing is going to work, right? All right, if you answered yes, do the damage. To do. think happy thoughts. You don't have to actually program that yet. So we're sending a decision with custom type. So right now, this is still returning null, so it's not actually going to show anything different. It's just going to say yes or no. But we can check it out and make sure the behavior works the way we want. Yes or no. Okay. And that's fine. And so what we can do is override this now. So I don't know that we can't. Can we do that? I guess we can do that because we're having a higher C# version in our mod. I guess we're allowed. Are we allowed? We'll see if it works. We'll make a new custom decision text. Do you want to think happy thoughts? Or should they think happy thoughts? Vote for thinking happy thoughts. Don't forget to remove the optional. Oh yeah, that's true. We don't need that anymore. Thanks, we'll rhyme. We'll rhyme. Happy thinking. These are like, so anything you don't want to pass, it will not use, but do think. And the last three are ones that like usually you just want to leave null, I think. We can maybe play around with what ones should be, nothing is like absolutely required, but those are like the main ones that I guess a lot of decisions don't use the full card. So that one should probably be null by default. The full card primary action. Everything does use, yeah, I think the full card primary action one should be null by default now that I'm thinking of it. But anyways, let's go with that. So now if I do this with what I've set up so far, it should show me the things that I said. Oh, we still say yes or no. Did I make sure to build this? I also like maybe don't have to do this if check in case something is wrong here. Oh, I think I forgot to pass the card source. That would do it. Gotta have a card source or the UI like won't know how to find you to call this. Which I'll add some warnings and stuff in the UI for that. Okay, let's play our card. Hey, do you want to think happy thoughts? Yes or no? I mean, it's going to be yes or no. That's a yes-no decision. And if we were playing multiplayer, there's extra strings. And if I say yes always, or yes this turn, I should see happy thinking yes. So that's a string that I wrote in the engine there. So yay, okay. So one thing I wanted to note here is that let's go to where this is created. Oh my gosh, this function is so big. Right, so if it's custom, I'm just going to put a little bit of extra steps in here so we can warning, decision selection type is custom, but a card source was not provided. And if this is null, custom, but but nothing was returned. Just those can be helpful if you're doing this and you're like, why is my thing not working? You can look in the log and see what's going on. Okay, so that's cool. So let's go. What we noticed? We noticed that this, I guess, defaults to the header name. Maybe I'll just say normally you don't need to change this. This is only needed for decisions that show up there. E.g. select card. So I think full card primary action can default to null here. But the other ones, like, you just always want, you always need to put these in. Okay, so that is fine. I mean, you can always just pass null, but they can be like that. And let's just update the DLL that the Unity is using. This is like a good first step, and I want to actually do a more complicated example too. So if we go back here, wait, this is the UI. Let's go to my mod. Yeah, so that can be blank now. Did I not? Can we not? 2 errors. But I rebuilt it. I rebuilt it. What if I refresh? Build, rebuild. Pick up that DLL that I changed. Oh, now there's 1 error. Oh, right, because... And like by default, just return null. Okay, so this should still work here, because before I just wasn't passing the card source. That was the problem. So let's make sure we still work here. Do you want to think happy thoughts? Cool. And yeah, okay, so that's good. So you might be thinking, like, what if you have more than one decision, right? Like, that you want to return from this. So if there are different kinds of decisions, then that's easy, right? You just like, if it's a yes, no, do this. If it's a select card, do that. If it's whatever, do that. But what if you have like several in a row, right? So what if we have another decision here where we ask another yes, no card decision? Right? Ask another decision of the same type. How would we be able to send something different? Because there's no other different information. This is like exactly the same, right? And so what we want to do in that case is actually store a local variable that we can refer to. So this is going to be something you're going to do if you have this kind of situation, which I think most cards you won't. It'll be like there's literally one decision that they make that's unusual. But you can make a private variable that helps you with this. So it can be something as simple just like an integer, right? Or a Boolean if it's just one time, or maybe it's a string or whatever. Call it, custom decision index or whatever you want. And if we're here, we say, and then if we get down here, we say it's 1. And can I get you some cake? Should they get cake? Because maybe they want cake. Vote for getting cake. Get cake. So like whatever you need to do to show what you need, you can just use, like, since it's all, you can just like say just before you make that decision, set some variable that, because this method is going to get called as part of this. So whatever you can set right before, you can still refer to that. It's going to be in the same context. And if it's something you need to refer to like later after a game save, you could save it as a card property. So there's different ways you could do with it. And it can be context sensitive as well, by like storing strings or whatever, or other information like damage type maybe or something. So let's try this, and we should be able to see both of our yes no decisions if we say no. So I say no. Can I get you some cake? Cool. So that is working. So that's kind of a simple example of like doing multiple decisions of the same type. Whereas like basically there's only so much information, and we thought about like maybe we could add like parameters to everything, but that would just be a lot. So that's what we're doing there. And I think that should work. If it ends up that being a big hassle for everyone, we can maybe add something to card source that you could pass in. That could be another thing to do. But yeah, so this is kind of the method that is decent so far. So I think we can go ahead and commit this as a step 1. And maybe we'll add a checklist onto here. Oh yeah, so discuss the team, implement an engine, implement an UI, make examples. So the last thing is potentially look at mode with format strings. Might be helpful. So, but let's commit what we've got here. In the engine, we want to add support for custom decision strings provided by mod cards. Cool. I guess we can call it initial support. And so we're adding this override to card controller that you can override. We're adding the selection type, and we're adding this object that you construct and send back. And it's an object, not a struct, because we could potentially add some logic to it. So I think that's totally fine. Cool. All right, and then in the UI, let's just make sure we have the proper build. There's our XML documentation. And handle custom decision text for custom decision selection type. Okay, so that is the rough support. So what I was thinking was also, if you look at like our code in here, it has some things that are like handy, right? Like if it's a select location decision, like all of them are sort of the same format. And it uses like these location nouns that it figures out. So like suppose you have this, suppose you have this select location decision, a custom one, where it's like select, I don't know, whatever. You don't want to have to implement all of this on your own, right? Like for every card, or like maybe you have a shared class or whatever. But like this is already, we already did this work. So there's no need really for you to do that. So what I'm thinking of is basically probably like a Boolean that you can set in that class that says use string format mode. And if you do, the UI will grab that. So basically, if it's selection type dot custom, and if we have a custom text, and custom text dot question. So we're going to send this in. So as long as you use a format string here, and I guess we want to say and custom text dot question is not null, and custom text dot whatever that property is, that if it's using string format mode. Yeah. And then basically we'll document like, okay, for this type of decision, this is what the format is. So yeah, I think I like that because it just makes it like easier and more consistent and better behavior in general. So let's go back to, I think it's worth the time. Like it's obviously a little more time to do that, but let's put that in. So let's go back to the engine and add something here, which is going to be like at the top, which is like, what's a good name for this? It's like use string formats, or use format strings, or has format strings. I guess has format strings. Has format strings. Oh, where'd it go? What? Why is my code disappearing? What's going on? Weird. If true, all of the other properties will be passed to string.format. By the UI. If false, they will be used directly. See documentation on each property. Okay. So I think the first parameter here should be are you using format strings? Unless that, like, is this like, why is this coming up in blue? Is that like a weird, that's not a, something is going funny here in the formatting. Something's weird going on weirdly with Visual Studio. I'm gonna quit all the Visual Studios. Because something is up with that. Okay. All right, things are coloring in properly now. I almost want this has format strings to be like an optional parameter that is defaults to true. Because I want to encourage you to use it. So basically each of these is going to be documented with like what they're going to mean. So let's open a new instance and pull up that and get that all in here. Click a new instance, it doesn't do anything. All right, so let's put this up here and this one over here. And we'll just like sort of implement it and document it at the same time, I think. And we can maybe update the DLL here so we can get access to that property in the UI. I think we have to go to Unity first and let it recompile. All right, so, all right, let's just go from the top. So move card decision, and we'll just look for string formats, or if things aren't using string.format, we need to fix it so they are. Like this is that's using a constructed string, we got to fix that. And actually, even before that, like the default address and things like that, potentially we want to include. So yeah, well, let's see. So here, so instead of this string construction, let's do string.format. Where do you want to move that? Move Move.card to move.title. And it's not the plus, it's just all together. Okay. So with move card decision, and then we have these. Okay. So the question is always that. Okay, so let's go to question. String formats when has format strings is true. We have move card decision. String format, I guess, variables. 0 equals card to move.title. We'll just like, actually we can put move card decision card to move dot title. Is that, how does that look? I wonder if we generate that. Just getting a message. Let's see, nothing important. Just my own commits. Let's go to our back to here and to see. Oh yeah, there's no line breaks, but that might be a thing that like is just a. And that property is not actually documented yet. Interesting. It automatically linked that anyway, even though I didn't put in that little like C. C property. Let's just do it like this for now. How do we make it like use a new line? List. Where's the? Let me pull up the page for that. This list. List type equals bullet. Yeah. Bullet or table? Table. And then you put in like a term and an item. What if I just put in this? We're learning about documentation format. So I can make like a list header. Put that in there. We make a what's term item has then term and description. do it like this. Okay, I don't think Doxygen supports that table format. Also, it lost this list header. It just like dropped the word string. Oxygen summary list. It says it supports it. But it's not like if I make another item in the list, I don't get anything. I just want it to be like all in one line. Let's try the table again and see if it... No, it's not liking that at all. It might be that they don't actually support that. So maybe for now we just don't try that. We just... If it outputs weird, we'll fix that later. Let's just get the information down and then we can format it later, because it'd be easier if it's not in this weird format anyway. Okay. So it's going to be like all in one line here. Unless I can put in a line break somehow. Okay, I can at least make a line break. Okay. Just by like doing this. Just like a lot of space in the code here, but it's okay. It separates it out. Okay, so we just need to implement it and document it at the same time. I think that'll be kind of the best thing. So I want to like, this one's not using a switch or whatever. But I want to like basically like pass the right format in instead. So almost like a little like, I don't want to be like having a lot of boilerplate around in here. So I'm just thinking of how I can do that. Because like basically for each one I want to be like, format is like custom text. We can't use question mark dot, which is too bad. Otherwise I would use that in more modern C#. It's It's like, no, what's that? That's not a thing you can do. Use language version 6 or greater, but that's not allowed in Unity. At least the version of Unity that we have. I guess we could always just make a new custom text with everything being null. If, like, we could always just make one. It's kind of... like it's always there, and then so like custom text dot has format strings, and custom text dot question is not null. Whatever the thing is we want to use. Like that's a reasonable amount of boilerplate, I think, versus like a lot of stuff. And I think we need to go. Well, I guess the problem is that it could become null. Well, what we could just do is do this. And actually we could make custom text dot get format, like a function like this, get question, and pass in our default value. So like if we pass in, let's just like, if we always have one, do this. And then I guess string.format will just, if you don't put in the format parameter, it just ignores whatever the format things are, right? So, yeah. That seems fine. And then like we just make one of those for each one. So let's set that up. So public string get question string default string text. Return this dot question mark. Like basically nothing, it's not really actually useful here, but it's like useful for me up higher because I can just call this. Because we don't actually care if it has format strings. We can always just, do we actually care about, like, you could just, if you use format strings, they get used. If you don't, then they don't. Like, that seems actually easier, right? Like, it'll use them automatically because it's going to just pass it to string.format. Maybe that's just easier. and just be like, your thing will be passed to string.format, just FYI. Okay. So then, yeah, basically we don't need to check null here that's being checked inside. And even we don't need to store this. We can just put this like that. We could also put this like in here, like in this class. It doesn't need to be down here. But then we need to like... Yeah, I guess that actually makes it a little... Maybe that's better. So if we do... And actually we could make our own format string. Like... Yeah, that's... Well... Let's see. Let's string get question. We need to pass in the custom, maybe like string default text, custom decision text, custom. And basically return default text. Then we're just doing it locally. We could also fill in the string format thing there too, right? Because we can go params and you can go like yeah. So we can just call this like format question. And format default text. And we can even like yeah. And if we don't want to pass the string to format, if they have that variable turned off, we could do that here. It's annoying to like make 8 of these methods for the different strings, but it does make it like there's less null checking in this main function, right? So here we would just do, we wouldn't make an empty one. We would go format question, their default text with our custom text and the arguments. So this is like this is calling this instead of string.format, basically. And I kind of like it actually even as separate methods, because then we can like just look at all the places this is called and refer back to the documentation. Like it should match up. It could be like an extra parameter, which is like which string or something, but yeah. So we could even put it, if we wanted to, I don't know if we want to even keep that property, because like, just be like, it will always be passed. You're never going to like, I guess there, you might want to not to be able to put like this into your string for some reason. So we can still have that as an option, I guess, but it's going to be on by default. So basically we can support that here, right? Which is if custom decision text dot has format strings, else use the exact thing they put. Yeah. So that's a little more complex, but it's not so bad. And it's annoying to like have to copy this 8 times. That's a code smell for sure. I don't like that part. It could like, it's convenient for it to be properties, but it's also like a pain in the butt. I don't know how slow it is to be like, get the value from a property by a string. But I don't think that's a good idea anyways. I mean, I guess these don't have to be properties. They could, like, they would be in this, they could be just like a dictionary instead with keys. And then we pass in the key. I don't want to have 8 copies of this function. That's kind of the thing. And I guess like the only reason that these are properties is because it's like easier to document them that way. But we can just, if they're actual just like keys, then all of the text we pass string format. So maybe we refactor that way, right? Because it's still like the same thing here. Like the constructor doesn't change, and this isn't used anyways. So instead, what if we make like a dictionary? And maybe it can be an enum, right? I'm just riffing here. Decision text type. Just like all of these. And these enum things can have the documentation. Or even the properties on the constructor can be the documentation. We just call it like text type. Or like key. Because it's like scoped here. And yeah, I need to use system collections, generic, dictionary of key string strings. So like I guess we need to do a null check here, right? Before adding. You can't add null to a dictionary. I don't think. It doesn't like it. I guess you can. You can. You can add null as the value, just not as the key. So we can just go ahead and add a bunch of things. I think I like this better. This is just going to result in a lot less duplicated code, I think. You know, as I say that, I'm copying, pasting a whole bunch, but there's just so many bits, and I don't want to have to like have that function copied. We don't need this function anymore. We're not using that. And then we just need to do this. Address, skip text, side text. So instead of properties, we document the enumeration, or the, I mean, we can also document the parameters of the constructor. We'll probably do that too. So like this goes up on that. Delete that. So on. I just want to make sure that this like document's okay too. Yeah, our enumeration is getting that documentation. Okay. I think we're getting to a better place here. And the interface for modder doesn't change here, right? You're still just calling this same constructor. Collection of all the text to be used. Null values will not be used. Any values? I'll just put that in here. Okay, so that is a new thing. It's still the same constructor. Okay, so then that's just going to make our life a lot easier in the UI. So let's go back, update the DLL there. We're going to have a bunch of errors because of we changed some stuff that we're using. That's okay. Errors. Okay. Back in the UI. So like all this stuff. Custom text. This down here is like yeah, we could have like a I don't know if this is probably not going to be needed anymore at the bottom here. So okay. So yeah, we're not making an empty one. So here I'm going to say format text. Custom decision text dot key. I mean, we could go and like make a dictionary here, but there's so many things that use these. I guess they would just like, they could just like literally return, since they're properties, right? You could just have them return the right thing. Maybe that's a later thing, maybe, because I think we're just gonna go and like update all the code here. So, and custom decision text dot strings, and that should always, I mean, it won't, yeah, I guess we should have a double check. Custom decision text dot strings contains key. Sometimes autocomplete. Dot strings. Okay, so now this can just pass in. I guess I have to do like custom decision text dot key dot question. Right? Oh, format text. So now we just have this one function we can use for everything. Which I like, and we don't have to change like a lot of our code here, just like the exact things that we want to change. All right, so we'll just look out for like things that are being called here. Okay, so we added that in. Let's just make sure that our documentation for the other thing is correct. Yes. Okay. I guess we could put the example, we could just put that text in. Well, that's fine. I don't know that we need to do that. We could always go back and do it if we want. Text for other players. We use, right, the hero verb is or are or do. Okay, so text for other players. I'm gonna grab this and add it in. So 0 is hero name. 1 equals is /r/do. Oh, right, it's right, it's is or are. And 2 is the card title. Yeah, I guess we could put in the default. We could say like, I don't know, maybe. It just seems like it's like it becomes messy, but also it's maybe useful. I don't know. So that's text for other players. So basically we can change, instead of calling string.format, we call format text. And we just add in our extra things. Like it makes it easy to just update these. Like that was it, right? Text for voting players is using just this. We just literally replace this. We drop in a couple more parameters. Yeah. I mean, we could basically change it to like not assign here and like have a dictionary that like uses this to assign locally. But we could also just do that later. That's not a critical thing, I don't think. The main thing is not having like a bunch of separate functions, I think. Okay, and then we have repeated decision question text is here. And it's the same. Key dot repeated decision question text. Okay. Okay, and the answer text is always going to be, I think that's not something you need to provide. We can add it if it's needed, but I think it's based on the result of the decision, right? So I think it's not something you provide as part of this decision text here. So we did that for that type of decision. Hooray. Okay, so we probably should try this out. Let's just run the doc generator too and just see how that ends up looking in the documentation page. Yeah, so it's not like a nice table, but it's and we can put like a more like, this is an example of what string formats look like. Yeah, like this could be like, it's like with the number. Okay, so I don't know if we want to check this out in our mod code. So just make sure we have the latest built on here, and we'll build it for the mod. Let's test it out because I want to make sure that I'm not totally breaking the world. I think there's like making it use the format strings is just going to make it more consistent for everyone. So I think it's worth spending a little extra time here to do that. Let's make a new instance and go to my mod. Okay, so we want to do a move card I'm just gonna put it in the worst card ever. Move card. I could do like each player move cards. Does that take a selection type? I just need there to be a selection type on the helper in order to. Some of them are like picked up. Oh yeah, that does take a selection type. Okay. Each player moves cards. 1, 1. Selection type custom. This is a card criteria, new link card criteria. Just any card from location. Can I generate one? To location is I don't know what I'm doing here. Let's find a simpler one. Move card. Maybe let's go and do wait, select and move card. Does it take a selection type? No. Maybe I don't want to like do a bunch more examples. Let's just go populate that for yes, no decision. We'll skip ahead. So select location will be next, but let's jump down to yes, no decision and put it in there. And then let's just do that. Because we already have our example of yes, no decision. And you notice our, like, this implementation didn't change at all. So that's nice. Not that it's been released or anything. Okay, if it's a yes, no decision, question is yes or no. So that's just going to be the default question. Right, so yes or no is interesting because there's like lots of different things. We've got yes, no amount decisions, and we've got yes, no card decisions, and yes, no decisions that are just on their own. So I guess if it's custom, oh, I think I already have it down below. Or no, I think it's probably because I don't have a break. Okay. Yeah, there's no default string format. For basic yes or no. Yes or no is actually the most complicated one because sometimes there's a deal damage action, sometimes there's an amount, sometimes there's unanimous or not unanimous. Yeah, this is actually the complicated one. Yikes, okay. So I guess we have basically like if it's a card decision, if it's an amount decision, let's just note the things we want to handle here. Yes, no card decision. Yes, no amount decision. And you can put your own logic for this stuff and not use the logic I'm putting in here, but I want to like at least cover sort of the basics. Okay, so I guess I should, for each one, put like what normally goes with it. So the card decision 0 is going to be, let's look at some examples. I guess the things we use are card title and hero name. For the multiplayer. For amount decision, we use the amount, hero name, yeah, we also do this cards word, which is card or cards, pretty commonly. Sometimes we use the does. Yeah, we might have to like sort of put something in here and then like expand it. Yeah, there's often lots of different things. That's interesting. Do you want to take a full turn now? Sometimes there's a power. I mean, anything really complicated, you'll just do in your own logic, basically, right? So I'm not even going to cover the deal damage ones. I'm just going to be like these. And then basic other. So if yes, no. Basically this card decision and amount decision. And I'm not going to have the extra logic. Like if it's a yes, no amount decision, we're going to do this. So in the other case, it's basically this dot question is format text. The default is yes or no. Custom text, key dot question. And yeah, we want to populate some other things. If it's a card decision, format text. Yes or no for card. Like this shouldn't ever come up because you did provide the custom selection type. Card title. Um, and then format text. Should hero name say yes or no to for that card. Okay. And amount decision. And we have another place where we look to see if, yeah, I'm just going to copy that. So format text. Some of these are using string construction instead of format. Which is annoying. And someday maybe we'll fix it all. And the first parameter here is the amount, and the second is card's word. Do you want to say yes? I guess this is the generic text, yes or no, for 1 card, 0 cards, 10 cards. Format text should say yes or no for that. And we'll use amount. Right, we have to pass custom text. At least we don't have to do this stuff like once per type of decision and not like update everything else in the world here. This needs to pass also the card's word. Okay, so I think that covers yes, no. So let's document this, and we can try it out because I'm actually using it. So for question, yes, no decision. I guess yes, no decision doesn't use anything. Yes, no card decision. 0 is the card title. Dot. Where's the card title come from? Yeah, I guess it's not always that. It's sometimes a related card. I'm just gonna write card title. You know what? Maybe that's just gonna be what these are, just to be more straightforward. Okay. Yes, no amount decision. I guess I can just like sort of copy this in. Zero is amount. 1 is hero name. 2 is card/cards. And actually 0, this is the wrong. I should be going one by one, but yeah, question never uses hero name. Well, not usually. So this is 1. Then text for voting players. Text for other players, I think, just uses the same thing for yes, no decision. Text for voting players uses hero name and card title. And yeah, this one uses the 3. I think hero name is usually the first parameter. And that's text. These should both be not here. They should be here. I'm gonna definitely make a lot of mistakes. We'll do our best. So I think that covers that. Yes, no card decision on question and voting players. That's what this logic is doing. Let's just see where the rest of the properties are set, because they're, I think, above. Question is just there. We do have a repeat phrase that we're using. But yeah, I think you just specify it. There's no formatting or anything like that. So I guess here we need to use the thing, right? We still need to call format text with repeat phrase and custom decision text, or sorry, custom text. The key is repeat. And no parameters. I just want to check. I think this needs to be careful that if the result is null, we don't. If format is not null, we do that. We don't want to pass null to string.format. I think that's an error. Okay. And I guess they would be null sometimes. Where are we setting text for voting players? I guess we don't always use that. Oh, here's an error because, yeah, I'm just gonna delete that because that was when we were first looking at it. We're like, how are we gonna do this? Yes, no doesn't do anything with the voting one. Oh no, sorry, with the text for other heroes. We do the text for voting. Text for other players. I think it just shows. It just shows we're making a decision. And I guess we could replace that. Shouldn't this be below? this. The Sentinels is making a decision. Sentinels are making a decision. The text should be lower. That line should be lower. This could be below this and be replaced. It is used in some places. But not by yes, no. Another thing I'm going to do is I want these to be alphabetical. Oh, guys uses it for wooing or not to wooing. I'm going to move this. It's easier for me if these are alphabetical to keep track of what I've done and what I haven't done. Activate ability decision is first. Alphabetize. Sometimes it's helpful. Select location. Could go below select card. Select cards. Select damage. Select function. Select number. Select turn taker. Select word. Use incapacitated. Use power. Yes, no. It's a lot of cases. Select turn phase. Okay, that goes up to before select turn taker. And select from box. Okay, just will make my life a little easier to make sure that I cover everything. All right, so basically I need to go through all these cases. So I'm just gonna commit what I have so far because I think I like this approach, but it's more work, but it's valid, I think. So this is basically change custom decision text to use a dictionary to make lookups and handling easier in the UI. And we're gonna update the DLL. I'm just gonna commit this before working on handling custom decision text. Reorder some clauses. Okay, so we did move card, which we can basically see if we've got this format text being used. Let's do activate ability. This needs to actually be a format here. So this is format text. Select which blank. All right, let's go to our other thing here. So the first one is activate ability decision. 0 is ability being activated. I guess just ability name. Ability key, that's what it's referred to. Cool. And Here we are in the multiplayer part. So we want to go format text. And it's using like it's a combination of string format and not. It's weird. I think it's just done in a rush probably. And we got to pass in custom text and the key. Oh, I see. I'm doing things in the wrong order here. That's why my autocomplete is not helping. Text for other players. Okay, so text for other players for activate ability. I think it's similar to this, but 2 is the ability key. Right? Hero name is an R. Yeah. Okay, text for voting players. Again, I guess this is going to be 1. Hero name and ability key. Okay, so text for voting players. Just using hero name and ability key. Move card decision not using in text for voting players. The other, oh yeah, just vote for where to move. It doesn't say anything else. Okay, so that's the voting players. I kind of wish this was below that. I guess I could like do this or something, but just I think that's what's screwing me up a little bit. Hopefully I don't introduce too many weird decision display bugs with this. Copying and pasting everywhere. It certainly is likely to happen. All right. Action hint text we don't need to worry about. And I don't think anyway. And repeated decision hint. Or sorry, repeated decision question wants to use this. It's actually got a string format already. Okay, that's the same as this one. So yeah, you can see the only ones that we're really using are these ones, and these ones have not even been really touched by anything yet. Okay, that's activate ability. Moving along to select card. Probably another complicated one. The default question is select a card. This one has phrases. So this one's actually a little different. And it has the sequence index, like the first or the second or whatever. So we're going to add our case custom. I'm just going to do this for a second and just look through what we got here. We're using the sequence a lot. We use the hero name a lot. Discarding. You can have extra things. That's anything complicated you're just gonna have to deal with on your own. I'm gonna like try to cover the main cases here. Having the sequence is pretty common in all of them. And the hero name in the voting. So the phrase thing here is because we like automatically put in like the name is whatever, right? Vote for whatever. So I think what we can do is do the replacement here for those two, I think. So how are we going to manage that? So the question part is the easy part. Right, we just do format text, custom text, key.question. And this is a select card decision. Zero equals sequence. The first, the second, etc. We'll probably, I don't know, if that comes up a lot, we might move that somewhere else. So yeah, the thing is, if we use the format text thing here, then we can't, like, I guess you can pass it to string. You can't pass the string to format again later because it will like double replace or whatever. That won't work. So I think we don't. Does the phrase starts out null? Select whatever card. Yeah. Wait, I'm changing one that isn't the right one. There. This is how I ruin everything, right? Repeat phrase probably already is select a card. Yeah. So I just want to look down at where we use those phrases. We just literally use it directly. So here we can do our thing where we just say, we call format text with the default text, with custom text, and with the key, and no parameters. It just basically uses it, which is fine. It'll call string.format and not do anything. So that's fine. We don't need to mention it in here because there's no parameters going into it. So it's these two things I just want to make sure work right. A lot of these will use, they format it here instead of like down here, which would be, I don't want to go and change all of these. So I think we're actually going to check here, maybe. Or we're just going to get the value from there. Ooh. I mean, we could just say it works like a phrase and it always comes in like this. That's fine, right? Yeah, that's fine. And if someone really wants to override that totally, then we can change that. But I think it should be okay. So basically, we just use I think this should, yeah. You don't get to fully override text for other players here. You just get to override the phrase, no matter what. And I think because it's always the same thing. This is just I think it's okay. And we don't need the repeat phrase because that's handled later. So this is custom text vote. So other hero is just a sequence. Note used as a phrase. And maybe I'll explain what that means in a second. And the same thing for vote. Zero is sequence and 1 is hero name in this case. So used as a phrase combined with hero name is /r(x), where x is this. And this one is vote for X. All right, hopefully that's clear enough. I don't know. All right, that's select card decision. That was a little trickier. This is a meta decision with no presentation. I don't think we need to worry about this. Maybe we do. I guess maybe we do. It can't hurt. It doesn't have a format. Question. No arguments. It's available. Select a damage type. This select damage type does not have a custom, doesn't use a selection type at all. So maybe not used. This is a decision type that's like sent from the engine directly. So this one I'm just going to say note not used for. And if it comes up that someone's like, I need it for this, then we'll revisit. But again, select from box. If something's not using selection type at all, then probably we don't need this. That's kind of the situation. Select function. Oh, you find a secret thing about guys here. Has anyone ever seen that? I wonder. 1% of the time that will show up. I guess like allowing this would let you do weird things like guys stuff, but the less work I have to do here, the better, right? And we can still have the thing at the very end, which is like if it has a custom text and it's not using format, just like completely blow away whatever we did before. I think I'll still add that logic at the end. I think I'll note here if is true, each key. Otherwise, it will overwrite whatever the UI was going to show. So actually, you can use them for those types of decisions by just completely overwriting it, and that's going to be fine. You're just in charge. We're not going to provide you string format stuff or whatever. You're going to have to do it. And then we can change that if that's important. All right, select location decision. This one has stuff to do. So we have selection type. Custom. We have a location noun. It's just going to be, yeah, the default. And it's going to be format text with custom text and question. So this is like select a trash to shuffle, or select a deck to discard the top card, or whatever. So question for select location decision, 0 equals type of location. Discard, deck, etc. Or trash, I guess. Trash. Okay, and if we have multiplayer, basically I guess we don't need we can just like copy the default question, right? Oh no, that's already it's using up the string format, isn't it? Okay. That's fine. Rather be explicit about it. In case we want to do something different for that. Okay. So yeah, we could like assign this to like a format variable or something and then pass it through, but I'd rather limit it to like just if this selection type is happening. So text for other players is here, which has hero name is our and 2 is that. Okay. And then the other one's just like vote for which thing. Okay. So it's the same as this. All right. And repeated text. Format text. Select a thing. Most of these are probably never going to be used, but you never know. I might be surprised. Select location is the same for this one down here. Okay. So that is select location. Select number has selection type. Yeah, and this one is probably going to be used a decent amount. This one is using kind of a phrase thing for voting with like, yeah, the text for other players is using a phrase, so we'll handle that. The question does not actually use a format. At all. But this still lets us like pick a number. Phrase is going to be again format text. I guess we should have copied this. The default. And this is used for other players. Voting players. Vote for which number they should pick. And repeat. Okay. Okay, so we only have a format one for voting players here. Because there's no other, like... Well, yeah, that's it, really. Select number decision. 0 equals hero name. Oh, right. Text for other players does use a... It doesn't use a format, but it's used as a phrase. So... used as a phrase combined with... Yeah, it's this, basically. Hero is whatever. Yeah. Okay. Select turn phase. Does not hopefully ever need to be overridden. Select turn taker. This one has lots of selection types. Okay. And it's got sequence, maybe number of cards, kind. It's got a lot. Turn taker number, ordinals. We have the nth hero to do stuff. We have something to discard card or cards. Or like number of cards. We could have a card source involved. The like nth fewest, nth most. Yeah. Okay. So let's grab the default and copy that. And put it where custom goes alphabetically. case selection type dot custom. All right, so we probably want to add some more format text, some more things. Sequence and kind is like select the first turn taker. We can be like select the first whatever with most or to most / least. Just like try to make a sentence that has everything. It's not going to be probably used, but it should at least make some sense. To do something with cards. Okay, so that makes sense. So custom text, key question. So select like the first hero, player, villain, with the, you know, most, second most, third least. That's something that the decision, whoever's making the string will know whether to put least or most based on what they're doing, or fewest. To do something with a card or 5 cards, or not use that parameter, that's fine too. Cards. So that's using pretty much everything. We're not using the card source, but like if you need to do something totally custom, then just do it. Then you can reproduce this stuff on your own. That's only used in one case, redirect to card source. So I'm not going to, everything else is all the things that are used commonly in all these cases. So if you're doing something weird, then do something weird. I'm not going to have to do everything for you. All right, so this one has a lot. Selecting, okay, and then we're just going to basically copy all that. It's just sort of a different verb phrase. Then this is literally just the last part. Okay. Typically. All right, so we got 4 parameters here to talk about. And it's actually, and this one is again a phrase that is used, but it's the same in each time. It's the same in each place. So select turn taker. So we've got, I'll just copy this. So 0 is sequence. I'm just going to mention maybe the following keywords, like keywords used below have these meanings. Sequence. Then we don't have to like do that. Or like location. Common type of location. And then we don't have to like define this every time. kind. Is for turn taker. Maybe I'll just mention turn taker kind. Can be deck, player, or villain. It's going to be like let's just do it like this. Turn taker number is going to be like ordinal. Yeah, that's kind of like ordinal is what it actually means. Ordinal. First. Yeah, I guess it's just another sequence, right? Where is it used here? What's a good example? Like the second fewest, third fewest. Right, but it's used in a different context. What's the like word for like third or whatever is like an ordinal, but like when it's used as a modifier. Ordinal modifier, I guess. Because I think it doesn't have the word the. And it will have a space after it. Used for actually there never would be first, right? It'll just be blank. Can you give an example? Like the player with the second highest HP, right? Used with highest, lowest, or most fewest. A also can be in sequence. I'm just going to put these as like, these are the strings you should expect. Okay, so instead of turn taker number, this is ordinal modifier. We're going to call it. And cards is a card or X cards. So like card count, a card, or X cards, where X is a number. Card count. Okay. Oh, this can sometimes be number of cards and sometimes be other thing. Oh, yeah, that's... from number of cards, or it's like, where does this come from? All right, hopefully that is all clear as mud. This can, anything sequence can just be that. This is location. This is location. And that's just sequence. Okay. Makes it a little easier to have those keywords, I hope. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's harder. I don't know. So again, this is just the exact same, basically. And these probably need to have like extra blank lines, or they'll be all in one row, on one line in the doc. Text for other players. This is also used as a phrase. And just double check that that's what the phrases actually are. And of course, you can always override these if you want. Yeah, these are the same. Okay. And repeated decision, I think, needs to just be called here again. Format text, repeat phrase. Just like that. Okay, no format there. All right, select word. We'll have something. So just one format thing, actually. But we're going to want to handle it with custom. And we'll just like use the default ones. Format text, pick a word, custom text. Picking a word. This is text for other players. Just make sure that my things up here have the right keys. Nope. It's like, did I do that right? I didn't, did I? Go back and review those maybe, or I'll just look at them in the diff. Okay, format text. Vote for which word they should pick with custom text and voting players. Okay, so and I guess this is just word. We'll call the format text. All right, so it's only the text for voting and other and voting have a form. Actually, it's just the text for voting. That's it. For this case, I just want that. 0 equals hero name. That's it. English. Use incapability. Does not have selection types. So we're going to leave that alone. Use power decision. Does not have selection types. So we'll leave that alone. Yes, no decision. We already did. And I think that's it. That is it. And then finally at the end, if custom text is not null and custom text dot, if it doesn't use format strings, replace everything. So I guess here we'll just call format text, right? Well, yeah, with the question we've already got, custom text key dot question, basically, just like replace all of our variables. And there's 8 of them, I think, and at least these are all the same. So if you really want to like totally replace text for one that we didn't provide support for with the formatting, you still can. Or if you want to change other elements that we're not doing, like changing the auto decide or the skip text, which you can do. Okay. Replace everything directly from the custom text. Yeah, if it's set. If it's not, if you put null into there, then it's fine. If you want a word or phrase for highest HP in the hair with the second highest HP, maybe a comparator. I think like an ordinal modifier seems fine. Like just as good as that. Like ordinal is like, yeah, comparison modifier maybe. I don't know. Ranking modifier. Ranking ordinal. Ordinal rank. Right? That's what we want. Rank is the word. Like stinky. Okay. We found it. We got there. Okay. So what does this documentation end up looking like? Yeah, that needs to be blank lines, blank lines, blank lines. Yeah, ordinal is the word for like first, second, third, fourth, fifth. That's the word for ordinal. And rank is like ordering. I don't know if this is totally right, but it feels right to me. Let's run the doc again here. We can always change that, but I feel, yeah. Yeah, ranking is like the ranking of the HP, and then ordinal is like what the word, like how is it written as nth. Okay, so okay. Hopefully this is all useful. So now it all should work and everything is fine. We can try it now. We didn't try it. We should try it. In our thing here. So let's pretend that we didn't just write this and we're looking at the documentation and it says you have a move, you want to do this for your move cards decision, or sorry, for your yes no card decision. So 0 should be the card title. Do you want to think happy thoughts about 0? And like maybe you don't have to use the string format. All right, and text for voting players. Text for other players doesn't use that. So if you wanted, you'd have to like use your own stuff there potentially. No, I'm not going to see the voting player anyway. And maybe in this one we don't use the string format. Or if I even say if it doesn't have format strings, like use it exactly, because I like 5, which would like crash because it would look up for a variable that's not there, but it's just going to be like use the little squiggle brackets instead if I say false here. So this should work. Let's try it. I got an error. What's the error? Oh, cauldron. Right, because we couldn't get the variant or whatever. Do you want to think happy thoughts about 0? Well, shouldn't that have been replaced? If I say no, yeah. So that 5, I'm expecting to see that. But here, format strings is supposed to be true. So something is not coming through, right? And I wonder if it's our function here. If it has format strings. So we're in. Oh wait, why is select card way up here over? Is that where it goes? I guess most things are select whatever. So move is actually, it's like alphabetically. It's kind of weird. Everything's under S. Move card, it was yes, no decision, wasn't it? Yes, no. Custom. So we're not getting this yes or no for card. It should be sending the card title. So we can just like log this out, I guess. Using string format. Let's just see what we get. Maybe we can write just add a couple logs. Custom decision text as text. Using, let's just do like this. Okay, let's go back. It's got a message. It's my message. Thing about deal damage to self. Let's take a look at that in a second. All right. Custom decision has text, using the decision text exactly. But I shouldn't be. wonder if this is some sort of compilation mismatch thing going on. Oh, you know what? Where are we not setting that value? In here. In the constructor. Maybe we need to do that. That would be smart, don't you think? All right. That's why you at least try it. So maybe you did dumb. Hey, do you want to think happy thoughts about punching bag? Yes or no? And then when I say no, this one I did use the ordinal, so it's okay. All right, I think that is probably good. I guess one thing I was thinking about is, do these ones use the things that like put in a string format later, like using this kind of thing might be dangerous. Like I don't expect anyone will do that, but we'll see. Cool. Okay, so I think that is at a place where I'm happy with it. So let's commit that now. All right, so this is basically documentation and actually set the variable. Add documentation, set property in constructor. Okay. And in the UI, we are updating the DLL. And we can take, let's review this here and see, well, maybe I don't need all those logs. Maybe I'll leave them, but comment it out. Because they are very noisy logs. Okay, let's have a look at our diff here. So we're changing that question. Well, I just want to make sure that the change like makes sense and I didn't like screw something up and put the wrong keys in or things like that. Just review over it. Activate the text for the repeated question. Okay. These have the right keys. These look fine. This one is just the basic. Same thing here. Yeah, this is the meta decision one, I guess. I guess for any of these, like that logic at the very end would let you overwrite it as well, but that's fine. This doesn't hurt anything. Select the location question. Voting. Okay. Select the location for repeating. Question, other voting. Repeated. So I'll match up. Question, other voting. Match up. Fine. That seems fine. That seems fine. There's our just like replace everything if they're not using format strings. Cool. Apply custom decision text for various types of decisions. Okay, so that gets, I think, makes it a lot easier to like follow the format. And we can like expand the documentation if it helps and stuff like that, but just like playing with it, you should be able to see how that works. Cool, so that's going to be in the next update. What's the last thing? It's all done. Trello. Done. 5 out of 5. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and I'm going to take a look at, John Mark sent me a question to look at, so I'll pull that up, and I will BRB. BRB. Okay. So I'll probably look at getting a build with this put together pretty soon so people can start using it as well. And let me know if there's any problems and stuff like that. Because right now it won't do anything unless you actually integrate it, right? I guess I could push up my mod code changes. Maybe I'll do that. Okay, so Jean-Marc asks about deal damage to self-helper. Talking about 2 parameters that effectively do the same thing is optional and required decisions. There are some things that have different things with that, but let's see. I know there are some things where is optional and required decisions behave differently. Let's bring up a true hero in the end and lifeline, blood mage. Oh, come on. That one. Each hero may deal himself 2 psychic damage. Calls deal damage to self with required decisions 0. And this is an incapability, right? Any creature may deal themselves 3 infernal damage. A hero dealt damage this way may use a power. I mean, one difference between these is that I think this one, the damage all happens at once, and then this one, I mean, I guess that's, I don't know if they actually behave differently, but that could be different, because this says whenever a hero takes damage this way, and the other one doesn't. It has a next sentence. Let's see what the method does. Select target's decision. Optional. Yeah, I'm not totally sure what the difference is, but it has both. What else is calls this? Like, it's most likely you could have optional true, but if you do it, you have to do a certain number of decisions. So, can you have optional equals true, but require a certain amount of decisions if you do any? Or optional, right? Like, those are different things. And maybe you can use the combination of those to achieve the same result in different ways, but it lets you do different things. And maybe they are handled differently in the UI with those properties. I don't know. That's something I check with Jean-Marc. All right, anyways, let's get back to whatever we were doing, which was finished of that stuff, but maybe, right, we were going to maybe push out a change to our mod, which I've kind of made a bunch of changes that are, I don't even know if they make any sense. I've added a bunch of stuff. I've updated the README. Yeah, I don't want to push out these changes until that change to the DLL is live anyways, so let's hold off on that. There are a couple bugs that I can take a look at in the UI, so maybe we'll take a break from that lower level coding stuff and look at these. So there was an issue with showing placeholder art for the variant fill-in if it was selected using random. There was this grammar issue, and there was placeholder art showing up in a couple places. So let's look at those placeholder things. And see if we can take care of those. So, okay, so let's just close this and this. And what mods do we have loaded up here? Cauldron, and I think it has art, right? Do all the villains have art? At least that one does. Looks like most of them do. So whatever one we pick, we can verify that the art should be there. So if we go new game, it's basically just like press random. And the game intro would show the wrong art. If it was a randomly selected villain. So here we have gray. So we press fight. I don't see a placeholder. Is it only if it was a variant villain? Okay. So, gotta press random until we get a variant villain. Kid Flash Impulse is super jealous of what? Oh, you need art for your mod, I suppose? Is this a variant? I don't know what's the regular and what's the variant. But let's try. It has a variant. All right, there's a placeholder. It was looking for this is, I should have cleared the log before clicking play. We did random. All right, so yeah, this is variance equals this. So that is correct. Starting the game. We have our promo. Could not find cauldron.png. So obviously that is looking for the wrong thing. Coming from game intro view controller. Okay, so let's see what it's doing there. Guess I can open it by double clicking here. Game intro view controller. And line 358. It said we're trying to load villain texture for that. Right. And it's looking in, let's just go into the folder. Sentinels, mods, cauldron mods, cutouts, startup game, villains. Right, I think it's, and it should be finding, it's just because it has the namespace in it. It should find wind, color, dendron, character, start a game. Right, so we just need to get rid of that namespace that could be in the character identifier. I think that's the issue here. I think anyway, so if we do this, right, I guess we do want to, in case we have a mod of a Sentinels villain or whatever, we need to make sure like that character identifier can still have that, but this code in here can make sure to get the right thing, or mod manager can. Right, so really I think if we come in here and it has like a namespace in it, we should get rid of it, right? Because Because what was it trying to... It just replaced... It basically, like, changed the extension in the wrong way. And so we like go in through here. It's like, yeah, it's including cauldron dot on that, which it shouldn't at that point. I'm just trying to figure out like when is the point where we should get rid of it. Yeah, actually this is doing it here, right? This is supposed to be doing that. Splitting out. I guess even this should always do this. I don't know. This is probably called in a few places though. I guess it's the, yeah, so I think maybe it just should always do that. That's what I'm thinking there. So let's try that. We'll see if it breaks everything else. All right, new game. We can make sure that, like, yeah, art still loads and stuff. Is that a variant? No. Maybe. Yes. Future Tiamat. Okay. And we have a hero here, which I wanted to make sure loads up right as well. Hey, look. The right art. And also art for that guy. How do you like my costume? Does that look right, W Rhyme? I think that should be a solve. Okay. Fix issue with variant start of game art loading. Good. Okay, so that is that. That might also fix this. It's the same kind of same thing. So let's play an Oblivion game and check that. I don't know if that was a variant. It doesn't mention, at least the person who sent this in didn't mention if it was a variant or not, but makes sense if it was. Let's go into Oblivion mode. Let's get some heroes that have art from Cauldron. It was both. Okay. Well, we're going to go into Oblivion and get killed here so we can replace our heroes. Oh no, Nixius! My only failing in Oblivion is I can remember who Void Soul and who Nixius are. I mix them up. They're just both like the spooky dark guys like weird spooky scions. The secret ingredient, team killing. Well, global devastation is helpful, thanks Oblivion. Oh, let's stay here. Can I deal damage with these cards? Not really. Oh, I guess I can make Oblivion hit me. For more damage. Void Soul and Dark Mind. Nope. Nope. Oh yeah, I played this one on stream. Deal self-damage. Yes, I choose Oblivion, who hits me. I get to use it. Play another card from my power, I guess. Oh, I could like. If I had, do I have an extra power? I don't know. Guess not. Should have taken that. Deal myself 6 damage for no reason. Nope. Skip. Deal psychic damage to me and mine. I'm gonna reveal Oblivion's deck and maybe he'll play a card and kill us. No, he didn't. One could hope. The Enclave. Well, Blue Gow's not gonna save us anyway. Oblivion left. Tabby tab. Play more Aeon Man, but not do anything. Come on, Oblivion, I'm depending on you to beat me up. We have to like go chase after you to get beat up. All these cards are about reducing damage. Yeah, choose Oblivion. Hit me. I can only hit non-hero targets. Sadness. Well, I think this other hero is going to be able to go and beat up that character. Deal 6 damage. That works. All right, let's go to the end of our turn. We can get our... Took a while to get knocked out here. All right, we want to choose like a non-variant. We'll see if that shows up. There we go. That glitching, I think that glitching will be fixed and it doesn't happen maybe in the shipping build now. But maybe it still can happen in the editor. And let's choose a variant. And that works. Cool. All right, so that one change fixed both. All right, that's nice. Push that up. Status effect grammar issue, why not? Got any other bugs for me to look at for the last little bit here? I'm not going to do anything big for the rest of the day here, so if you got any other little bugs I can look at, throw them at me. Send me a GitHub issue link or something. Okay, Gyrosaur causes a status effect which makes all hero targets except Gyrosaur immune to damage from specific targets. Needs to fix is singular to take into account. Include all except. Okay. So is this a... This is not a one-shot. Or is it? Merry Chase. I should be able to get this card set up. Game view. I think I need to put the cauldron back into my thing here. Cauldron. There's this. Here. Whoop. Idealist concepts always end up saying things like there are no cards under Karate Robot cards for Karate Robot to destroy. If you have a specific bug report with existing stuff, please report it using the in-game feedback, and we'll be able to look at it. That would be more helpful. Okay, so we want cauldron dot gyrosaur. Gyrosaur. And they can be taking their turn, and we want to get a Merry Chase in hand. Come on. I'll just type it in. There might be an issue loading Oblivion's opening dialogue in multiplayer when the hero in the first position is a mod hero. It probably doesn't have anything to do with opening dialogue, but if you can reproduce that and send me information, that would be handy. I'm not going to chase down like something that might have happened on the stream right now. If you've got something that is reproducible and documented, that would be very helpful. But if not, can get that later. Let's see if this will load. Gyrosaur. A Merry Chase, ongoing. Whenever a target deals damage to Gyrosaur, all other hero targets become immune to damage dealt by that target till this card leaves play. So I could just hit myself with this. All hero targets except is immune, right? That was the message, and it probably shows up here. Right, okay, so let's see what's going on there. I don't know if there's a card in Sentinels that works like that. Okay, let's go to the engine. And that is immune to damage status effect. I guess is singular. Is card criteria. Right, so what was the issue? So target criteria, right, is or are. So target criteria is our string. Yeah, I don't think anything in Sentinels uses this kind of combination. Do. So can this be handled directly in here, or does it need to be handled as part of the other criteria is the question that I'm considering here. Because the first part of the string is... I guess they're both from target criteria. So the first part says all hero targets except for whatever, and the second part, right. So this is our string. Or the is singular. Needs to know. So target criteria is using is not specific card. So that should be reversed here. Not sure if there's any unit test that like checks this stuff. Are immune. I just don't want to like break other stuff, right? Don't know that there's a test. But we can add into unit tests. Are immune, is immune. I don't want to break existing stuff, basically. It looks like these aren't really in tests. They're just in the deck list, and we assume it works. I mean, it could be using any number of is or are. Is there a... Let's look for a test with status effects. Grammar. because I don't want to change something and then break a bunch of other things. Status effect test. Test immune to damage. So this is, so if we run this, we can just find a couple cards that have the things we want and make sure they don't break from what we're doing. Where's my output? Yeah, so we should add Legacy is immune. This is a very old test. We can assert status effect. This. Assert status effect. Does not contain. 0. Is it not? Line 319. I used the power. Oh. He actually chooses fire. This comment is a lie. All right, so what's another status effect that we're testing here? Increased damage, that's galvanize. Twitch says, welcome to the chat room. Increased damage dealt by her targets that doesn't use is or are. Reduced damage dealt to Flesh of the Sun God. What does that say? Hero character cards are immune. Okay. That's a good one. I don't think I probably need to make a new test. I can just go to raw. There's an issue with select targets and deal multiple instances of damage. No, I'm not talking to Siri. Cool. I'll take a look at that next if I have time. Raw test. Flesh of the Sun God. Flesh of the Fun God. I don't need those open, do I? It's the first test. This is also a very old test. So here we can throw a similar assert. well, let's run it and grab the text of the status effect. Hero character cards are immune to fire damage. Thanks, Kit Flash. Guess we can add this assert in here. And here that runs out. All right, so at least a couple tests that we know are checking that is or are. And now we'll go and think about this. So returns true if this criteria applies to a single card only. Returns false if it could apply to more than one. I mean, yeah. So basically, is not specific card return true? What uses that? Divine Sacrifice. What does is not specific card mean? Divine Sacrifice says damage dealt by these targets is redirected to Fanatic. Okay. So damage to targets other than Fanatic. So that should be not singular because it's talking about things that aren't that card. Right? So I think it's just that. Well, I guess what we should if we're changing relating to this, we should also check tests that have to do with these cards. So let's look at Divine Sacrifices test first, just and make sure that what that is outputting and that makes sense. Redirect damage dealt by Barium Blade to Fanatics. That text doesn't use the is-are or the plural or whatever. This one is the same thing. Redirect damage dealt by that target to the Naturalist. This is Extreme Prime Warden's Fanatic, which says redirect all damage dealt by Fanatic to that target. I think just we don't have any cards that say, like, they don't say it in that way. Maybe that's the case. And then Incapability. Redirect all hero damage to that target. What does that incap say? Does this test the incap? Redirect damage dealt by hero cards to Blade Battalion. Yeah, it's just interesting there's like nothing that ever uses that in the same way, I think. Or at least, I guess it's the immune. Nothing uses it with the immune to damage. I guess that's probably why this is coming up. So I think it's that we just get rid of this, right? And also, like, why is this written like this? Because if not specific card is not singular, I think that's what we want. And so that would return for is our string is literally just like if it's singular. So that would say whatever are immune. That's going to hopefully solve it for Gyrosaur. Well, let's run the unit tests and see if that breaks things. Let's click on this issue report while those are running. Also, don't please output every successful test. Omnitron X Defensive Blast Softlock versus Invisible Ghosts. Well, these are a lot of things I don't know. Is there a save file that can be loaded? Or a test? I guess there's a test case. This seems complicated. I guess maybe just like populating that card source in the right spot might solve the problem. Right. So that's probably just a flaky test. So let's go to this method. There's two methods. This is, I don't know which version it is talking about. This is the simple version. I guess it's Defensive Blast, so we can look and see what version that calls. It calls this, and then it calls the big one. Okay. So it's saying that that is calling find cards where without providing a card source through. Here. I mean, find card where it doesn't require a card source. This find cards where, like, if it's not given a card source, it can use itself, right? Also, I mean, this function doesn't require visible to card to be non-null. It checks for that. So like visible card equals null or is card visible to card source, like is either going to be true from that or it's not null and it calls that with not null. There's not a null reference. This is not a null reference exception, right? Because of there's a null check here. If you can get me a stack trace, I guess it might be in here. Like this says the null reference is in there. It's not further down. Did my tests finish? They did. Let's go back to that. That doesn't have to do with that. These are just flaky. So it looks like that's okay. So I think that change should be okay. So adjust is singular. Logic on card criteria. All right, so that should be fixed in the next update. Oh, I guess I can like actually test it because I have that card here. Let's test it in the UI. Let's go in and check it out. Then we'll take a couple minutes and look at that other thing, see if we can track down where that null reference might be. But it's a fairly big method. If you have a save file with that error that can reproduce the problem, that would be very helpful, because I can just like literally run it and investigate. Gyrosaur. Gyrosaur hits himself. All hero targets except for Gyrosaur are immune to damage from Gyrosaur. Da 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 da. There you go. Mission complete. Cool. All right, so let's just take a quick peek and scan into that other thing. And it sounded like it had to do with visibility, so maybe it would work with reproduce with isolated hero. Yeah, if you have a stack trace from this test showing where it fails, that would be helpful. Herself. Themself. Where we go? Back to defensive blast. Like that log says the exception is in here, not in anything that this calls. Like it's in something in this method, but this method is enormous, so it's going to be hard to scan it for what might happen. The method. Okay. So it finds the invisible ghosts. I don't know what invisible ghosts are. Is that like something? Is that a card? Is that like something? I don't understand. um. I just don't know the decks, so. Right, so it tries to find the cards. Ghosts are target in the catacombs environment. I guess this could pass the damage source. I mean, having a test that would reproduce it would be more helpful. So we could try to make a test with Isolated Hero. It can take a few minutes and maybe make a test. Let's test Disruptor, Defensive Blast. With Isolated Hero. Unless there's already a test for it. Defensive Blast. Sometimes tests are in other places. Test with Fixed Point. Hey, there's the thing I just literally made. New game with... Oh, we don't have a property to choose a different villain. Okay. Back. Go back, I say. They have text saying this card can't be affected by hero cards if or unless some other environment card is in play. Okay. Well, let's see if it works with Isolated Hero. That will be good. Yeah, there's this new game is calling remove mobile defense platform. If it's gonna do that, or if Baron. That's fine. Oh my god. Sure. Do that. Oop. Actually build. Okay. Show me the output. And play card, Isolated Hero. Decision. Next to card, Omni X dot character card. Put into play. Because we can like go to get out of Misinformation's turn. Put into play whatever his platings are. A blade of coating. Put in hand. Something else. Use power. There's also no targets because of Misinformation. Play card. One of the diversions. I guess Omnitron X, that hits non-hero This might not actually do anything because of Defensive Blast is hitting non-hero targets already, right? Oh my god. Go to start of turn. That's fine. All right, that seems fine. But it doesn't actually... Defensive Blast wouldn't actually hit. Heroes. So it doesn't actually really apply. Is there any other card that does that but to hero targets? That might be why this has never come up, because this can't come up in regular content. That's quite possible. I don't see any hero cards here, right? They're like literally all villain cards. Writhe, Skiamaki. Let's try Skiamaki. Rise. Okay. Don't really care that where that is. I don't need those. I don't actually care whose turn it is. I just want to play the card and see if there's a exception. could not make a card instance. What? What if we do like that? All right, we play it. We get to choose between Writhe and Cat Stuck in a Tree. Skimaki says any target, right? So this doesn't have a problem. So that seems there's no exception there. So yeah, if I want to investigate that, I'm going to need more information. If you can replicate it with base content, that would be ideal. If not, then a save file would be helpful. So that is that. Just looking for an exception. Just note that, but we can keep those tests. They don't actually check anything, but they don't crash. Add some tests, looking for an exception. All right, so that is that. I think that might be all that I have for today. So what's for next time? We're continuing to work on the documentation. Where does the save game file live? They're like in your Steam Cloud folders. If you look at the log, like this log that it output, it like tells you where it's saving them, I believe. Yeah, like the undo files. Maybe it doesn't log where it's saving them, maybe all the time. But they're in like your Steam folder in the cloud. There's a Steam Cloud folder that has their save files. Yeah, and of course, ideally, if it's something you can reproduce with core content, that would prioritize it for us. But we will be looking at stuff that affects mods specifically. Just like priority is always going to be stuff that affects core content. Okay, so what else do we got? A few more things. A little cleanup and stuff like that. We're getting pretty close to being ready to get Steam Workshop integration. I think Nemesis icons is a pretty big request from mods, and maybe variants, some more variants. But we could potentially start looking at Steam Workshop integration next week. So that might be something to get started on. So that's exciting. Refresh the issue page. I don't know where it went. Did I close it? I closed it, I think. Oh, I didn't. It's here. Comments with more detail. Is this? It just links to a big diff. don't understand what this branch is. Branch of what? My select targets and deal multiple instances of damage. Okay. Like, what's going on here? I'll look at that next time. It's the end of the day here, so we'll take a look at that next week. But I should be able to get a build up with the decision stuff that I did today and a couple of those bug fixes as well. So we will return next week with more development. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.